This is episode 7 of the Fitness Plus Technology podcast with our guest, Dr. Michael Mantell.
Yesterday, the gym was it. Today, the Medical Fitness Center is the model. But tomorrow, when everyone wakes up, the new model is going to be the Optimal Health Center. And who do you think is going to staff that? Physicians? Exercise trainers? No, I think that the bridge is the health coach and the individual who knows how to help people change behavior. Poor thinking, poor nutrition, and poor physical activity.
Welcome to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast for club owners, operators, and fitness professionals. I am your host, Josh Trent, and this is your number one trusted resource for the accelerating world of fitness technology. Each week, we bring you an expert interview with global influencers at the crossroads of fitness and technology. You'll gain the insights, tools, and inspiration you need to stay connected to the pulse of what matters most for your fitness business in the age of exponential technologies. This podcast is brought to you by the Fitness Industry Technology Council, who is mobilizing resources to drive the fitness industry forward and representing leading companies and organizations to success through collaboration. This show is supported by Videri Ventures, a boutique investment and advisory firm helping early mature and late-stage enterprises succeed in a new era. Understanding behavior change is pivotal for the success of health club owners, operators, and fitness professionals becoming health coaches. Dr. Michael Mantell is coming on the Fitness Plus Technology podcast to explore this intersection of behavior change, fitness, and technology. You'll learn on today's show how behavior change integrates as part of Dr. Mantell's optimal sphere of wellness, how Dr. Mantell sees robots working along with trainers in health clubs in the near future, and technology's role for the fitness inner stance versus the digital circumstance. You'll understand why data is showing the shift from the role of trainers evolving into health coaches and what this means to health clubs, as well as many more topics around artificial intelligence and emotional intelligence and how that integrates to the fitness industry. Let's get into this educational and fun conversation with Dr. Michael Mantell. Dr. Mantell earned his Ph.D. at the University of Pennsylvania and his master's at Hahnnemann Medical College, where he wrote his thesis on the psychological aspects of obesity. He's the senior fitness consultant for the behavioral sciences at the American Council of Exercise and a member of the Science Advisory Board of the International Council on Active Aging. Dr. Mantell is a 3-time best-selling author, an international behavior science presenter, and keynote speaker. He's a regular contributor for many TV and radio programs and is a nationally sought-after behavior science coach for business leaders, athletes, individuals, and families. He's listed in thegreatest.com's 2013 The Most 100 Influential People in Health and Fitness. Dr. Mantell, welcome to the show.
Josh, it is such a pleasure and a privilege to be with you, and I really value the opportunity to be on your program.
I've been looking forward to this. We connected, I think, 3 years ago through social, and what a beautiful mirror for this show, talking about the way that technology impacts not only the fitness industry, but our behaviors. Today's show about behavior change. Dr. Mantell, we already talked about your deep work in behavior change, but for people that might be living under a rock, what is behavior change? How would you define that? And maybe we can segment to how that's impacting the fitness industry.
Well, behavior change, first of all, is difficult. And it comes in stages. Behavior change means going from where you are to where you want to be. And there we have so many theories, we have so many approaches, whether it's, the need for social support or the need for the cognitive factors, our personality traits, what we believe, how difficult it is or how dangerous it might be if we don't change. But behavior change, as we use it in the health field and the fitness field, has to do with achieving optimal health and longevity, taking into account the behaviors that we engage in that lead to illness, that lead to hypertension, hypercholesterol, diabetes, obesity, and turning them around. So for me, behavior change is a model of helping people through stages of success and failure, and helping them understand what they can do to stick with it, to have the patience, the persistence, the positive attitude, the self-belief to be able to continue to move forward.
NESM has a specific course. It's behavior change specializations. They've already had thousands of trainers go through this course. So we're seeing, Michael, this focus in the industry, really the fitness and the wellness industry. How would you say from your vantage point, I mean, how is behavior change impacting the fitness industry now, and what does that look like in the next couple of years?
Well, you mentioned NASM. ACE, American Council on Exercise, has a behavior change specialist certification. I happened to work on that several years ago. It was an outgrowth of the work we did with our health coach manual that I also helped develop. And what we're finding is that there is an increased demand in the health and fitness areas for people who can be health coaches, and that means helping people change their behavior. The fact is that this is an evolving area. Fitness trainers in gyms are helping people change behavior. They're not just teaching exercise. Mm-hmm. So I think that the impact is tremendous. I also think it provides trainers and gym owners with opportunities of moving into the optimal health sphere. Let me explain what I mean. Yesterday, the gym was it. Today, the medical fitness center is the model. But tomorrow, when everyone wakes up, the new model is going to be the optimal health center. And who do you think is going to staff that? Physicians? Exercise trainers? No, I think that the bridge is the health coach and the individual who knows how to help people change behavior. Obesity, diabetes, other lifestyle-related illnesses that result from poor thinking, poor nutrition, and poor physical activity. And so I think that as communities realize, if we really want to help people, we're going to be bringing lay and professional coaches, healthcare providers together in an optimal health center and bringing some real pow to the fitness industry. The collaboration between the medical healthcare folks and the fitness health coach folks.
These optimal health centers, these are exciting, by the way. Do you know of anyone who's doing an amazing job at combining behavior change and this proactive approach to optimal wellness right now?
There are some places that are doing it. And there's a group outside of Tennessee, and I wish I could remember their name right now. But they are doing a wonderful job. And they bring together fitness people, health coaches, and medical folks. So the first intervention when they sit and talk with someone, for example, who has diagnosed with diabetes is let's talk about your diet and your physical activity. And then how are you thinking? Mm-hmm. They're not immediately bringing medication. And I think that's a change of mindset in the healthcare field.
One of the things that I'm so excited to have you on today to talk about is the contrast between technology and human behavior, because there's a lot of people out there, Dr. Mantell, that might see technology as a threat to human connection, as a threat to being mindful and being self-aware. How do you think mindfulness and meditation will impact not just the individual, but the way that a trainer might work with a client?
Well, first of all, when I look around the world, I was a psychologist for over 40 years before I retired and moved into working with healthy folks as opposed to those with mental illness. Today, we see a remarkable increase in depression and anxiety. Attention deficit disorder is on the increase. Personal relationships between people, family relationships are on the decline. Drugs and alcohol on the increase. These soul-numbing diversions have sapped our attention. We see more and more existential loneliness as people walk around with digital devices. Despite having an increase in money, increase in possession, we still have an increase in loneliness. So I think that I don't know there's an industry that's impacting human beings today that does not bring mindfulness into its workplace. Mm. Having said that, when I teach trainers how to build adherence with their clients and teach trainers how to improve, fitness trainers, how to improve their fitness training, a simple question. Ask your client, where's your head? What are you thinking about? What are you visualizing? What do you see yourself doing? Josh, do you remember a couple of years ago there was a commercial where people were stopped in shopping centers and they were said, hey, come here, close your eyes, put your arms out, stand on one leg. And eventually, obviously, people just flopped over, right? And then they said, hey, put this special bracelet on your wrist and now do it again.
Right. Yes. It had some hologram technology supposed to give you magic powers.
Magic powers, all kinds of things, right? Well, anything you do twice physically, you're going to do better the second time, right? We always do a set that's a practice set, right? We always teach clients visualize. So what I like to tell trainers is, let's put some space. I'll do it with you right now. This will be great. I want to know how you respond when I say bum, ba-da, bum, bum.
Bum, bum.
Ah, Josh, you fell right into it. This is why we need mindfulness. Because if you gave yourself a little bit of space between the stimulus and your response, maybe you would have thought, I wonder if Michael simply wants me to repeat what he just did. Bum, ba-da, bum, bum. Josh takes a moment, thinks, and says, bum, ba-da, bum, bum. Maybe if you take that space and instead of reacting, you'd respond. In terms of training, no, we don't have, spiritual gurus walking around being trained by NASM and ACE and others. We have regular folks who want to become very helpful to people. So what I tell people is to talk to your clients about their wandering mind, visualize before they do anything, talk about how difficult it is to stay focused, to extend that into seeing yourself do it first before you do it, and then do it. Now the brain says, I've already done it. It becomes easier to do.
I love that, man. That was such a fun exercise. I brought up this point earlier in conversation yesterday with another trainer. It was the article on Time Magazine about you now have a shorter attention span than a goldfish.
Yeah.
And there was a study done in Canada. There was 2,000 participants that wore some EEG monitoring, and they realized that it's actually 8 seconds now. So when we look at the attention span of humans, what technology pieces, Dr. Mantell, what's out there in the fitness and wellness world that can give people a greater attention span through technology as support?
First, let me just say this. I used to work in a gym in La Jolla here in California. And I used to tell the clients, the trainers, before you begin a session, sit with your client and just have them count their breaths for a minute or two. Watch the difference. It makes a tremendous difference. So before we turn to technology, let's look at what the client's inner stance before they look at their circumstance. Their inner stance is the best tool they'll have. Why? Because whether it's, web-based internet or wearables or connected devices on fitness equipment or mobile apps, video games, data analytics that we have now, gyms connected to physicians' offices and whatnot, it isn't the technology. It's what the individual thinks about that technology, the individual's inner stance about their digital circumstance. No doubt, we see an explosion, in part because of great marketing, in part because for those who think about it right, it works and it really helps. There are some people who love tracking and other people who don't. I don't care if you give me a brand new iWatch 2.0, the Nike fitness watch with a great looking band. If I don't like tracking, it's a nuisance. But all it is, Josh, is a watch. It's nothing. It's not a nuisance, and it's not the greatest thing that makes me want to exercise. This is critical. I make me exercise using this tool. And I know people who love Fitbit. I know people who love this. They love that. They love this. And they argue about which is better. None of them are better. What's better is what you choose and what you like, what you give credibility to. So I do think, though, that the real explosive pow in the industry that a lot of people look away from, don't want to hear, and I've been talking about it for several years now, is robots are coming. The new trainer is going to be a robot. Look at the studies that show that robots are now diagnosing emotional disorders, that clients are saying at Harvard, I don't mind talking to that robot. This robot gets me. I'm more comfortable than I thought. There will be people who like chocolate and people who like vanilla, people who don't like robots, people who love it. But I do believe that we're going to see robots in the gyms. We already see it in some group activities with active aging groups, leading small groups of folks. I've seen that work very, very well. But remember what a robot can do. A robot can read your biodata. It can be programmed with the latest, and I mean the latest as of this morning. At any given moment, it can change. It can read the same personal trainer manual and take the same 125 question multiple choice quiz and become a trainer just like any human being can. I'm very high on the idea of robots. And when people say, but robots, you will never replace humans. Of course not. God forbid.
I'm in this space now where I'm exploring, how AI is going to affect not just fitness, but wellness. And we look at this evolution, Dr. Mantell, between technology and human beings or technology against human beings. How do we make technology work for and with humans instead of against?
Well, I think that one key is that technology needs to begin where the individual user is, not where a population is, but where Joe is or Mary. Technology absolutely has a positive role to play in supporting specific individual behaviors to reach optimal health and increase longevity. But it has to be evidence-based, it has to be measurable, and it has to be willing to be used by that individual. So if it doesn't take into account, for example, where an individual is in his or her stage of change. Technology, the watch, the wearable, if I step on a techno gym trainer and it doesn't read where I am in my action stage, if it doesn't know the behavior modification strategies, if it doesn't know how to focus on my social support, how to benefit my adherence, then I don't believe it's going to help. It's not going to work against necessarily, but I don't know it's going to help. I talk to lots of people who love their Fitbits and their Apple Watches and their little peanuts that they strap on. They love going to FitWall where they look and see their heart rates on the wall or Orange Theory or wherever it may be. They use music to pump them up in digital ways and really fit right with them and move them up a notch or two. It's because they really have connected with that individual's mindset.
And these pieces too, it's not just a mental faculty they're hitting. It's this element of long-term sustainable, that's the key word, sustainable behavior change. What do you see as the roadblocks for people if they're a CEO or if they're an athlete or even Dr. Mantell, just a regular person in the gym? What are a couple things that always come up with people from a mindset perspective when it comes to sustainable behavior change?
In cognitive behavioral coaching, we know that there are a collection of 10 cognitive distortions. So people who think all or nothing, like I see it at Premier Fitness Camp at La Costa, where I lead the thinking leg of our optimal health tripod, thinking, eating, moving. And so I'll hear people say things like, I didn't get it right today. You know what? Maybe this is not for me. Boom. What? It's not right for you just because you made an error today? Or people will focus too much blowing up the negative, not enough of the positive. I could go on with all of them. People who label themselves. I'm just, you don't know my background, Michael. You don't know the family I came from. I just can't do it. I'm a failure. Mm-hmm. Or they should, SHOULD, on themselves. They have such demands and insisting and expectation, DIE. They kill themselves with anger that they're not performing perfectly. These are the things that really destroy sustainability and lead away from transformation to just short-term little steps. Anyone can go on a diet, lose a few pounds, but because you're in this field, you help people, they go right back. Diet means gaining weight. And so transformation means helping people change their thinking, catch their thoughts that are irrational, erroneous, challenge those thoughts, and then change them to something more realistic.
I think it's easy for people to get a little misconstrued because, a gym owner, an operator, or a trainer, there's this kind of constant activity that they're doing. They're servicing their clients. They're going throughout their busy day and they're working and they're doing. Where do you see them taking a moment for themselves to really check in with this mindset? And then how do they actually disseminate that properly to their clients? How do they get clear on what they're actually doing and how do they not get caught up in the day-to-day actions as an operator and as a coach?
Well, this is where meditation and mindfulness comes in. I'm giving a talk in November at the Athletic Business Conference, The Power of Mindful Leadership. Google, Amazon, every company I can think of today is teaching mindfulness. Let's stop for a moment. Let's be aware. Let's be present. Let's be non-judgmental. And when you add that space, your ability to be a clearer thinker, your ability to make better judgments, your ability to cope with stress, to cut your reacting and change it to responding improves. So I think that gym owners who are models for trainers and even for clients, let's slow it down. This world is moving along way too quickly for our health. We talk about fast food, right? The food isn't fast. We're fast. We run like crazy. Mindfulness helps people slow it way down. And I don't know any executive that I've had the privilege of coaching that doesn't come back when they really practice mindfulness.
And I think what you're touching on here is the state of someone really being in the flow. The flow work from Stephen Kotler and Jamie Wheel. They have the Flow Genome Project. And as you already touched on, AI can help people do this as well. But let's dive into this last subject here, Dr. Mantell, when we look at flow state and artificial intelligence. So you think robots are going to replace trainers, and that's a good thing, right?
I don't know that they're going to replace trainers. I wouldn't go that far. I just think they're going to be in the gym. And I think that we're going to say, hey, that is really cool. I don't know whether Apple is going to come out with it, Google, or Josh Trent is going to come out with it. but I know someone is going to have that robot in the gym. And I do think that can be a good thing. I don't think it's going to replace trainers. I think trainers need to know how to harness that. And the first trainer who says, you know what, let's work on a company to come out with a trainer, that person is going to hit the jackpot.
This study that we talked about earlier with DARPA and Dr. Ellie, the AI that war veterans are talking to, and they're feeling more comfortable. And the study, will link that in the show notes, talking to an AI than talking to a human. As a retired psychologist, what do you think is the real big picture of these veterans connecting with the robot more than they would with the human? Is that because of their context, or is there something different?
Well, I think that let's go back to something. You get on a train or a bus or a plane, or you're sitting in a crowded waiting area, and you start talking to the person next to you don't know, and you start telling them things that you would never discuss with your friends. In part, they don't know me. They're not going to tell anybody. I think there's something to that about talking with AI, talking with the computer that's going to talk back. Where it breaks down is if there's a fear that this information is being curated, collected, and is going to show up somewhere else. And that's a big fear that people have today with a lot of digital devices. But I think when a robot hears somebody say, robot says, so, what did you hear from your parents a lot? And the person says, I'm so undisciplined. I'm never going to amount to much. I can't do anything right. I think the robot, just as much as a human being, can say, let me teach you how to delete that kind of thinking. Because truly, you're destined to do much, much bigger, better things. You're destined to leave your mark. Let's talk about how you can change your thinking. I think we're ready for that. I think the data says that we're ready for that, the research data.
It's something where you brought up a good point. You're on the train with someone else and, maybe you're never going to see them again. So it's like, I'm going to tell them everything that really, truly comes up for me. And it's almost like there's just a little more context for truth there. How do we foster this truth with tech? I mean, do you see, beyond just the data that's out there, I mean, do you see this growing? Do you see this being a trend where AI is really going to be used not just in the psychiatrist and psychology offices, but also on the gym floor and then beyond into these optimal wellness facilities?
Yeah, I think it comes down to authenticity. If I was programming that robot and you and I were in this company, I would say the first thing the robot might ask is, hey, so what are you afraid might happen if you shared your experiences with me? How will you feel if you don't share everything with me? If you were not afraid, what would you want to tell me? What would you be willing to tell me? And maybe ask yourself this. How can you share something with me being even a bit more vulnerable than you might be with your best friend, your spouse, your business partner, your parent? I think when the robot starts asking those kinds of questions, I think human beings answer and realize, I am really speaking to myself. Yeah, they're the robots listening and responding, but it's a robot. I'm really talking to me. And at the end, that's what a brilliant coach does. A brilliant coach helps an individual talk with him or herself. A brilliant coach helps the individual find his or her answers. I tell groups I speak with, you come and say to me, what do you think I should be eating? And I tell them, I like Michelangelo's approach to health coaching. What's Michelangelo's approach to health coaching? Michelangelo didn't carve the statue. He released the statue from the big block of stone. He let the statue come out. And that's what AI can do. That's what good coaching can do.
Thank you for that beautiful answer. And I'm thinking about the future of this. Where can fitness pros and club operators learn more about this behavior change piece that we've been talking about?
If they don't, they're missing out, and they will not grow their practice. They won't grow their business. They won't grow their. Ultimately, the reason any of us are in this for good, and that is to help people. I mean, today you can look at behavior change techniques that come from AI. It can provide instruction. It can provide goal setting, helping with goal setting, contingent rewarding. It can help a client set up behavioral contracts, plan social support through digital devices, prompt self-talk. It can ask the individual, what else can you say to yourself right now? It can do motivational interviewing. It can take the questions of motivational interviewing and ask. Of course it can do all that. So I think these are how we're going to see the explosion of AI in the health, fitness fields and other areas for the good, to help people advance forward. Go on the website at Premier Fitness Camp. I have a lot of my posts up there, and people can go on the ACE website, ACE Fitness website, and look at the podcasts that I've done with folks up there, and see some of the posts I put up there as well.
Where can people learn more about what you're doing right now, what you're excited about? We'll make sure to link all your topics that we've discussed in the show notes today. But Dr. Mantell, where can people learn more about your work?
Well, let me tell you, obviously you can go to my website, drmichaelmantell.org or .com. I have both. But I'm such a individual connector. I want to invite your thousands of listeners to say, I want to talk more to him. I want to pick his brain. I want to learn more about what he's doing. So just write to me. My email address is very simple, Dr. Mantell, DrMantell @me.com. I answer emails almost immediately unless I'm busy doing a podcast with you. But as soon as I get off, I look at my email and just start answering. And people have all kinds of questions. I've met people all over the world just by saying, hey, email me, drmantell @me.com. If you want to learn about it without talking with me, my website has all that information.
You are all over the internet, that is for sure. For a parting quote here, this is something that's on your site, and I've seen you post this a lot in social. I've been following you now for, I think, 3 years. And one thing that you're famous for is this quote of, "The link is what you think."
Yes.
Unpack that a little bit for everyone, and then we'll say goodbye.
Okay. I wrote a book in 1988, my first book, called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. P.S. It's all small stuff. And the more I've spent time studying with really the cognitive therapy greats, Albert Ellis was a mentor of mine. I've had the privilege of studying with Aaron Beck, Marty Seligman, and so forth. So the more I've gotten into it, the more I say the only way to help people is by teaching them to think healthy. And so I have a little 4-square thing very quickly. In the upper left-hand corner are events. In the lower right-hand corner are feelings. And many people think events make them feel something. She cut me off on the road, that made me angry. It's raining, I don't have an umbrella, I'm worried about how I'm going to look when I get into the office. No external event makes anybody feel anything. The link between an external event and an emotion, the link is what you think. Tell yourself something good about the rain, you love the rain. Tell yourself bad about the rain, you hate the rain. It's not the rain. When someone cuts you off, they haven't made you feel anything. You are responsible. So that's what the link is, what you think is about. And if people want to read more about it, they can go to Amazon.com and very kindly purchase my book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. P.S. It's all small stuff. It's the 25th anniversary edition that's out now.
Congratulations on the anniversary. That is amazing. And thank you for being such a force of wellness and everything that you're doing in this fitness and wellness industry. Dr. Mantell, thanks for coming on the show.
Josh, what a privilege to be with you. Thank you very much. Continued success in you impacting the world the way you are. Thanks so much.
For sustainable and successful behavior change using wearables, connected devices, and mobile apps, it isn't the technology, it's what the individual thinks about the technology. It's the individual's inner stance about their digital circumstance. It's the preference and the perceived value of the device to the client that will elicit long-term health changes. For health coaches, yesterday the gym was it. Today, it's the medical fitness center. But tomorrow, when everyone wakes up, the new model is going to be the optimal health center. Trainers and club owners will be able to enter the optimal health sphere with the use of these exciting new behavior change technologies. Robots and artificial intelligence are now capable of diagnosing emotions in select clients, and it's only a matter of time before Dr. Mantell predicts that robots and artificial intelligence will work their way into the health club. This has already been seen in active aging groups and leading small health groups in studies at Harvard. Thank you for spending some time with me on the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast. I want to thank our sponsors, Videri Ventures and the Fitness Industry Technology Council. You can learn more about becoming a valued partner with FitC, as well as access all the links and resources from today's show by heading over to fittechcouncil.org/podcast. If you're listening on your phone, tap the show artwork and the live link will appear in purple. Support this podcast by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. If you've gotten value and been able to take inspired action from the guests and information on this show, head on over to fittechcouncil.org/review, and you can leave your voice to be heard live on the iTunes airwaves. Or just simply tap that show artwork and the review link will be in purple for you to leave right from your phone. Next week, we have another phenomenal show with an expert guest to inspire you at the crossroads of fitness and technology. So until I see you again next week, be well, have an amazing day, and go out there to connect online and offline with the people you care about most.